Whew, welcome. I'm so excited you're here. My name is Eva Palekova, and I am your guide for this session for this pre-work video. So I am so excited. I'm so glad that you booked a call and you're in for a treat. I think that this you'll get a sense of just how much, how in what crazy ways that you cannot even imagine your life and your business is going to shift. And I mean this. You're in for the greatest adventure. So be prepared. Be prepared. And I want to welcome you into this space energetically. So if you can, I would really watch this in silence, in a quiet space. Give yourself the space to put yourself in the field with me. I hold a space of adventure, innovation, invention, where literally we start to see things differently and we start to rework life as it is, and we start to coming up with new frameworks as well as seeing the truth of some things that don't work. So I want to invite you here. I'm so glad you are. And you might want to grab pen and paper, not to take extensive notes, but just the revelation that you start to have, it's sometimes important to write them down. So why are we here? Oh, by the way, one more thing. Listen through your heart, not through your mind. Listen to yourself as you listen to me. Be present with yourself in your inner space about what your soul is telling you about you and your business and your life. Because it's not about me, it's always about you. All right. So, the intention, there's a few different sets of intentions that I have for this training and for our work together. So, number one is to set the trajectory of your life and your business in a totally different timeline. It's just not going to be the same. We're heading this way, now we're heading this way. It's totally different. And it has a few different components. So the first one is to create from the self, from your gifts. This is an inside out business blueprint. We create from the gifts, from ourself with capital S. We create the business based on ourselves without the codependency of carrying the world on our shoulder, worrying who's going to quit, who's going to complain, who's going to be unhappy with us, people pleasing, saving other people, which client is going to leave, uh, which business partner disagreement, what do I need to launch that people are going to want, and these tentacles that goes out, that these bonds that we have with the world, and instead we plug in to our knowing through the work with our four gifts. Number two, the intention for you to begin to see the place that I call heterarchy. So non-hierarchical, non-superiority, inferiority place of work with your clients. Sisterhood, brotherhood, yet compensation, yet exchange. Financial exchanges and all that, that's all part of that. Circular, collective, leading the company in a way where everybody is honored and internally driven, not because they have to, but from a space of them living their gifts and their integrity, right? Versus, I have to make my team happy and now I have to hold it accountable, and these like hierarchical weird stuff that separates you. And that's just not good for our heart. But that's how we have done it for thousands of years. So we're trying out something different. When we're open, when we're transparent, when we're honest, we bring ourselves in our fullness as leaders to the table, and we invite other people to come to the table in their gifts, empowered in their power, plugged in their center as well. Okay. Number three, in our natural state. This is who I am. This is how I see it. This is how I have it. Without an apology. Being exactly who we are in our business, with our sensitivities, with our emotional nature, and so on and so forth, based on our gifts that we bring to the table that have their shadows attached to them. We're human, we're not perfect people, right? Without trying to fit into some leadership box, trying to be the way that you're supposed to be, right? Totally in our naturalness, and respected and honored. This is very important for those of us who are guides and human design projectors out there, right? Like, we need to be respected and honored for who we are and our gifts. So important. And number 4, freedom. Freedom in our business. And it's not just a freedom of time, cutting down the time in your business by reworking the systems, by reworking the teamwork, and so on and so forth. And not just the financial freedom that comes from scalable offerings, effective marketing, all that stuff, very important. But internal freedom, which is always but being mirrored by the outside, by our business. Our internal freedom comes from dissolving the bondage of the smallest self, the patterns within us, the shadow archetypes that are oppressing us, that are pressuring us, the layers of us that are shrinking us in some sense. This is all this internal stuff, right? So those are my intentions for you, creating from yourself freedom and beautiful team and being of service, putting your gifts to the highest service possible. So it's a really entirely new way of leading a business, being a leader, being a creator in your life. So welcome, welcome, welcome. And who I am and why you should listen to me. I'm going to try to summarize this in 30 seconds because it's not about me. Well, because I teach you how to listen to yourself, number 1. I teach you how to master being in your center, connected to your higher versions, tap into your divine creativity, and tap into your power of creating life and business on your own terms. And my history in a few seconds, a bit of a picture of how you should listen to me. Besides me being a very human that's made a lot of mistakes and have literally seen it all in business, I could tell you stories. I've been through all of it. Maybe I'll tell you some other time. But I built 2 7-figure businesses, and the first one was a restaurant, and I had to go. I didn't know anything about restaurants whatsoever. I didn't even know how to cook. And I opened a restaurant and I didn't know anything about the restaurant industry or running a team and none of it. And I had to go through working 16-hour work days down to 0. And at the beginning, had a whole team walk out on me twice. I was terrible at running the company, terrible at leading it, no system. It was a mess. And we went into profitably me working myself out of the business and down to 0 hours from 16 hours in 3 months. It was a 3 months work where I had to look at every part of the business and step courageously into a very different role, a role of empowering others and elevating the team. And that was quite the process. And then I went on integrated into my business and teaching others how to do that. My second business, I built a business coaching practice. This is when I became a single mom, solo mom, no co-parent. And when I was pregnant, I had this idea that I'm going to go from 0 in in like very little coaching experience to $1 million coaching practice. And we actually did more than that, way more than that. We had 560K a month, and it was literally 18 months later. And that really, really pushed me. That pushed me into learning everything about systems, about hiring the right people, about sales, about marketing, about all of it. And I ran 2 incubators. One was 0 to 6 figures, and then 6 to 7 figures. So we have had lots and lots of successful customers, and we were teaching a lot of mindset, but it was a lot of like solid business strategies. I had a client, just so many. I mean, we have over 100 clients and lots and lots and lots of successes. And we had, I don't know, clients who had their first 50K months, their first 20K months, their first 100K months. We had a client, her first 250K month from like an 8K month or 12K month, like a few months before. We had a client who had been stuck at 30 to 50K years for like 10 years prior, had her first six-figure year, and did that ever since, every year ever since. And then, her time went down to 20 hours a week in her business because she has a really beautiful team of facilitators that teach her genius. And she runs sort of like, yeah, I don't know how to describe it without giving giving out her business, but it has to do with a lot of energetic work and healing, and work with, removing entities and things like that. So very cool. We had another gal transition from MLM into coaching industry who did 50K the first month in her first. Used to teach 7-day retreats and things like that. It was just really, really cool. And then a major awakening took place after I did some work. My Kundalini started rising. For those of you who have been through that, you know how crazy that is, what that happens. But literally, you feel like there's like a brush going through you, and pulling out the shadows, and literally like brushing out all the energies. And I went through um, almost 3 years of deep spiritual transformation. But at the beginning of it, I realized that me teaching just business just wasn't in alignment. Like I was fighting, I was trying to go back to it, but it just wouldn't let me. If you have been in that path and you try to go back and you just can't, like it just won't let you, and it's just like, what's wrong with me? Why is this not working? You might relate to this. And there was like a realization that I didn't want to face, that even though we were making so many people successful, the true success wasn't there. And the true success is, what's this person's frequency? Are they evolving on a frequential consciousness level? Are they deepening? Are they gaining more integrity? Are they opening their heart? What is their field like? Because the field and who we are, when we de-densify and de-layer the shadow archetypes that we have in there that we don't know about, through this work that is connected to our business, we rise into a very different kind of leadership. And that is the leadership that actually matters. That is the impact that actually matters. And I was seeing, well, shoot, like I can make people successful by like, do this and do this and do this and do this. And they follow a formula, and, we do certain things and they become successful. But my soul is like, oh, and we had some clients who just weren't getting anywhere so fast because they, on their soul, just wouldn't let them. It just like wanted them to go through the transformation first. So if you have been stuck and you're pushing yourself, you're not quite moving, and you're maybe experiencing plateau in your business, then it's time to put your gift activation first, because that's, to me, and I'm going to talk about this in a second, it's like, after 3 years of work in a jungle, I was for 2.5 years in Costa Rica and then another year in Mexico doing deep work, literally thousands of hours of research of consciousness, of 128 collective shadows, and being in the weeds, and it's like, oh my goodness, and learning all the layers, and what's this, and how do I transmute this into gift. And after 3 years, I'm finally bringing those two together after working with some clients individually just on the gift work. My soul is like, let's do this. Let's bring these two together. The solid business strategy, because it's important, because healing without action doesn't go anywhere, right? It just doesn't. We have business has what business is doing for us. It has two roles. It's mirroring stuff to us, it's showing us which shadows haven't transcended, but it's also our implementation and our service and the step that we're taking as we integrate something and we bring it into business. It's like it's a very crucial piece. So I'm saying this because I also see a lot of people just being stuck with a lot of shadow work and inner work and not quite moving in their business the way they should. So there's basically two types of business owners, right? Energetically, and feel this for yourself and find out where you are. Leaders that live in their outer circle and they don't quite know it yet, but they're not connected. They're not plugged in. They're not power up. They're not living in their center. They're not creating from the depths of themselves. They're more on the outer circle of their aura. And it looks like just looking out there for solutions. What's the next newest strategy? What's going to work in the market? What should I pay to employees that's going to make them not quit? What's going to sell? What's this other person doing? It's sort of like, it's even unconscious, but we tend to like look outside for solutions. Then there is the inner pillar entrepreneurs, people who have broken through the layers that are set by our upbringing, belief systems, frameworks, traumas, all the layers. When they have broken through it, or maybe they just didn't have all the traumas that we had, but I don't know many people like that. We break into the inner pillar. We cleaned enough to where we get really connected inside of ourselves. And then we are internally directed. It feels like when we look for what should I create, we look inside of ourselves. We have inner guidance. We get the ideas and downloads, or should I say uploads, that are floating up. Things are floating up just as we're ready. And we're able to be placed inside of ourselves to make the decisions. We're able to set boundaries. We're able to have a certain authority. We're able to have a certain command that's come from a place of truth and integrity, not force. It's power. It's not force. Out here's force. It's always making something happen, right? It's like quantity. I'm going to do the launches. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do my checklist of things that somehow going to work out. Power is I'm creating this because it's what feels right to me. This is how I'm putting my gifts to service. This is how I feel it. This is, then we're following the breadcrumbs in co-creation with the universe, but we're placed inside of ourselves. And it's an incredible transformation. It has so much power. When we step into the inner pillar, it's power. And we go back and forth. It's not clean because we get thrown into the outer, into the fears, into the insecurities, into the shadows all the time because there's something for there for us to transmute and bring us deeper into our self-assuredness, into our creativity, into our joy, into our heart. Right? So we go in and out, but we know what it feels like, and we gain the skill to anchor ourselves inside of ourselves, right? So this is why it's called Inside Out Business Blueprint. It's inside because we have to be coming from deep inside of ourselves, and that's a work of a lifetime. That's really just the most incredible work that you'll ever do. And outside, because we are putting this to work. We're not just doing shadow work for the sake of shadow work. We're actually building a solid business and putting our gifts in service to others. That's what we're here. That's what we're here to do. Put our gifts, our unleashed gifts. We're seen, we are heard. We're putting the gifts in service to others. So, let's take a deep breath. I'm just going to sit here and take a couple deep breaths so I can realign with the next section of this webinar. And we're going to talk about the first pillar. There's two pillars. There's the inside and there's the outside. And the inside is the gift work that I do with you. And the outside is the actual business rebuilding so that you can scale back your time in your business, scale your involvement, empower other people while sustaining or increasing revenue so that you can really put your gifts to the highest service and be the visionary that you came here to be. All right. So, pillar number 1 is the gift activation and the inner work. So, before I dive in there, I want to talk about the mistakes that I see people making. It's literally, I see I see all kinds of things, but most people either get stuck on like endless inner work for years and don't actually get anywhere, and they are still stuck and they're still not expanding their business or growing their business or whatever it is, or even shutting their businesses down and restarting and whatever, or they're just sort of go in circles. They're on a surface level. They're actually not hitting their deepest fears. So they're like talking around in circles, not actually making progress, right? Your inner work has to imprint in the real world. If it's not, and you're going to be honest with yourself, I had to, because I was also working in circles for a couple of years, right? If it's not actually, if you're actually not more comfortable with who you are, more expressed, more strong in your power, and it's not actually translating to life changes, then it's not doing anything. It's not the right kind of work. It's just getting lost, right? Or some people get stuck in different modalities, even psychedelics, lots and lots of them, without integration and then just getting swimming in the shadows for extended periods of time, right? Or coaching. Coaching is great, but there's a difference between deep, deep, deep work and coaching, right? So it can turn into an addiction where we get addicted to an energy of a coach, like a business coach or whatever. And then we can perform in their field, but the minute they go away, we're like, oh my gosh, what happened? I had no energy. So people stop showing up, with that coach, and all of a sudden business disappears. Like, what happened, right? It's because it was not our gifts that we were operating from. It's very important to be our own people based on our own inner activated gifts. That is not to say that we can't be empowered by other person, but it has to be coming from inside of ourselves. And we collaborate with others, right? We invite them into our space to support us. But support and codependence are two different things. Then there's like band-aid work. People do like lots of frequency work to lift their field, but for what purpose? For what intention? And the intention always should be to integrate yourself towards that frequency. Hold the frequency to open up the inner and to begin to integrate the archetypes, which seems complicated, but I promise you, when I guide you there, it's not going to sound complicated. If you're not done work with archetypes, don't worry. Everybody can do it, right? If you're here on this call, you're meant to be here. Just trust that. Don't second guess yourself. Okay. So, yeah, I've literally tried everything that there is under the sun in terms of modalities, and the way I do it, the way I do work with business leaders, I have never seen anybody do it like that. And I don't know personally anybody who has the capacity or has the skills. That's because I'm living in my unique gifts, right? Just like me, there's going to be only one of you because your gifts will position you to be the one and only in your own space, right? There's only one of me and there's only one of you, right? 1 second. So, the way we are going to be doing inner work is moving from the outer into the inner. So, the outer separates you from the inner by layers of shadows. And not just any shadows, actually. There are some very specific shadows. And once you get to work with them, I'm just going to make myself comfy. Been sitting here for a while. Once you get to work with them, you will actually be stepping into some very specific gifts. Not just any gifts, but your gifts that have a specific label that are written in your astrology and in your DNA. So I work with multiple modalities, but my core modality right now that I want to bring to you is called Gene Keys. Maybe you've heard of it, maybe you're not, but you're welcome to go in and look up on Google Gene Keys free profile. Maybe I'm going to include a sort out of breath, moving myself around the chair. Just give me a second. Whew, there's a lot of energy. This is working on me too, you guys. It's always interesting when I'm teaching something, it starts working on me. It's a lot of fun. So, Gene Keys. You can download your free profile, and when you do, you're going to scroll down and you're going to see like a hologram. When there's a bunch of spheres, and each of them has three words: shadow, gift, and siddhi. Right? We don't worry about the siddhi because we're not there, quite frankly. We're not yet advanced, enlightened being, right? Most of us, anyway. So each of these spheres has something that is really, really key. We focus on the gifts through integrating the shadows. So each of you in your hologram has 11 different gifts times 2 because there's partner keys that go along with it. So really you have 22 gifts, but we talk about it as 11 4 gifts. And they break down. There's the 4 core that we're going to deal with first. That is the genius sequence. That is very closely related to your business. It's your life's work. It's your purpose. It's your radiance, which means the field that you hold for others, which you radiate out there through your heart. And your evolution, your biggest invitation, your biggest challenges that you're going to come across over and over and over and over and over. It's like your pathway to evolution. So, this cannot be understood through the head. You're going to read about it, you're going to read about each of the keys. It's not going to make any sense. The work is done through inner explorations of the field, through the heart. I guide you into states on guided journeys, guided meditations, through constellations. We step into the fields and you begin to uncover the gifts that you hold. And when you figure out what it is, you're like, oh my gosh, I have no excuses. You are a diamond. Everybody's profile is a diamond. Everybody is just like, I look at a profile, I'm like, holy cow, this person is just amazing. But most of us have been conditioned to bury ourselves, to bury our gifts, to not use them because it wasn't safe. So somewhere in there, you know that these are your gifts, but 90% of the people are not living them fully. Maybe you're somewhere in the middle. Maybe you're living some of it, but not. Maybe you're living more of it. Wherever you are, there's more embodiment and more progress and more entering your inner sovereign creative space. There's a process of individuation that has to happen before we come to unity. You have to know who you are in your business for your team and to your clients to be able to communicate it in your messaging, in your marketing. You have to be able to fully understand your gifts and who you are in order to radiate it out with confidence, without questioning yourself, without hiding yourself, because some other person is saying, oh, that's not how we lead in our business. Well, it's not how they lead in their business. It's not their gift. But you are your unique self. Nobody else is like you. And this is the journey of discovering what you are. And the benefits of that, is there anything more important than actually do what you came here to do in this incarnation? You know what I mean? And it's not just for you. It's not just for you remembering what you are, because this is the work that it is, but also transplanting yourself and flipping yourself from the shadow to the gift, how you lead, what is the field that you radiate, what becomes possible when people come into contact with your field. It's not just what you say, although your voice will reflect your frequency, right? But what becomes possible for others in your field. One, by your frequency, but also by you modeling, by courageously stepping into what you are, even though nobody else is like you, and you're kind of going to be a black sheep at first, maybe, because each of us has, like, this makes us all rebels, creative rebellion, because we literally came here to create based on ourselves, because everybody is different, and together we create a whole. And then as a team, we can start to step up into synergy, and even one of my favorites, a little bit woo 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 word, but bear with me, synarchy, where every person that you are working with on your team or clients or business partners, as you begin to transfer this out to others, is operating from their internally driven, connected, from their gifts, right? Connected to their soul, to their heart, to the earth, to Father Sky, whatever, like totally connected. They know what they're here to do. They know what their gifts are not, and they know what their gifts are. And then everybody works together in harmony. That's synarchy, right? That means there's some reorganization that's going to have to happen, and some evolution for you and for your team. And then friends and family. I cannot tell you how valuable. I'm a single mom to a 4-year-old. How valuable. Just this morning, I checked her Gene Keys profile, and I looked at the little sphere that has SQ written on it, and she has 9.6, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, that's the age 0 to 7, right? And there's 7 to 14, 14 to 21. We kind of work backwards at some stage of the work. We are literally unraveling you into your core wounding and the core of what you are. And it's just like, holy cow, it just said so much about her and what she's teaching me and why she's the way she is. And it just allow us to see people and to able to support them in living in their gifts instead of making it wrong. She has determination as a gift. She's very determined. She's like very strong, and she really pushes me. I'm just, it's very, very challenging, and she's an Aquarius on top of it, so it's like, but just, it's incredible to be able to support our family and our friends and what they are. So anyway, so anyway, some of the principles to bring to you that I work with is that we love it all. We integrate the shadows by embracing them. Any teaching out there, it's my microphone, hopefully you guys can hear me well. Any teaching out there that is bringing you to shutting off parts of yourself, or don't be like this, or try to change yourself, is actually you doing you a disservice, and it's prolonging your journey, it's making you suffer more. It's through embracing, and conditional love is through embracing and integrating every shadow of us, right? The prostitute, the beggar, the liar, the thief, all of it. You'll find to discover like the craziest pieces part of you that drove you crazy about the people out there, and you'll find it within you, like, oh, and that's part of it. When we really truly accept ourselves as leaders, then we have the capacity to have compassion and deep understanding for others. So there's a lot of forgiveness in the process. So leadership is not about learning how to be a leader. It's about unlearning every unconscious resistance that you have to parts of yourself, and about accepting and then relaxing and releasing, right? And by accepting first, yeah, this is me too, right? I love me, and yes, I know I have manipulative tendencies, and I love and embrace this part of me because it's doing its best, right? So what? I can fall into addictions. I'm human. I can be very disorganized. I'm this and I'm all of that. And at the same time, I have these gifts and I have a responsibility and deep commitment and devotion to putting my divine gifts to work. You have your 11 core gifts, you have a devotion, you have a divine responsibility to bring your gifts to work for others. Because when you bring your gift frequencies that are yours into service to humanity, you help them activate theirs too. And we all have all of them. There's 64 gifts and 64 shadows times two. Each shadow is a repressive and reactive version, which is why there's 128 shadows, right? So each of us have all of that within on some level somewhere when we go deep enough, but there are some primary ones. But we all don't have all of them as primary because that'd be crazy, right? So that's why you bring your gifts, they bring theirs, together we shine. Some of the examples of work with clients and what they have done with their shadows, because their shadows, when you integrate them, the gift emerges, right? There's no other way. You can't just activate a gift, not deal with the shadow. Not possible. The shadow is a gift itself because it's the unconscious. When you integrate that, it becomes a gift. So, scorn. Gene Key 3031. There's this arrogance. It can show up as scorn. I used to be like that in my restaurant. I would like walk in every day and just like people just were not doing what they're supposed to do and be like, just, you know, how many times did I tell them? Just do it myself, just be like so. I like look down on everybody because everybody else was stupid. I was the one who was the best at everything. It was amazing. I was I, it was like a defense mechanism, but I was so incredibly arrogant. It's also because I have a gift of versatility, which is like the gift of all gifts. Like I have gifts in many different places. Oh my goodness. It made me so arrogant. It was amazing. Right. But what that did do, it created a bunch of victims in my business who are afraid of me. And once that gets transcended, it's like people who have that transcended, they actually step into a very powerful kind of leadership. And they also have this gift of anticipation that is usually attached to it. They can read the field. They can read the field. They're the ones who can actually anticipate the future. They can see the past, they can see the future, and they kind of know. They're kind of the visionaries. Very cool. Next one, 43, for example. I'll just give you like 5 examples or so you can see how it works. 43, Gene Key 43 has deafness in a shadow. It's actually a fear of rejection, which makes us deaf to the inner voice, right? If you can't hear the inner voice and what's telling you is because you have a static noise, a static frequency of your fearful mind that has been rejected, probably in childhood, either bullied or just like really repressed by your parents or whatever. And there's such tension and fear that is usually unconscious, buried. We don't even know what's going on, but it's there and it makes us deaf to the inner guidance. So we have to work through those things, flush them out, open the field so you can hear. But there is a gift in the deafness. And that there is people who actually become, when it gets reversed and flipped, they become deaf to the outside, which is cool because they don't care about the rules of the collective, right? They do things, they kind of run things on their own terms. I have that one. I do what I want when I'm in my gift. When I'm not, I care about what everybody else is thinking. I need to gather approval all the time, right? But when I'm in my gift, I'm just sort of I'm creating, I'm doing what I want. I don't It's just doing what's right for me. And I create a really cool life like that. Um I don't know, I should mention it here, but I also have a lot of 3 lines and 6 lines in my profile, which is a lot of trial and error. I like to move, I like to travel. We have lived in 3 different countries, me and my daughter. We have lived in an RV. We'll probably do that again. There's a lot of movement, there's a lot of experimentation, there's a lot of meeting new people, new communities, running different businesses, experimenting, right? So and it's a lot of adventure. It's like there's this sense of just joy in life and adventure and discovery. When that gets activated for you, that's really cool. What else is here? Deferring is one of the shadows, right? When you're deferring, when you're codependent, when you're always sensing or sensitive to what other people want and need, almost like oversensitive, codependently so, that actually makes you a brilliant reader of others. And then some people transplant it into empathy, um, which is a city of Gene Key 13. And I have that. Makes me able, my sensitivity works for me because I'm able to read other people. I'm able to feel in my body whatever they're not willing to feel and point it out to them and guide them to it, right? So this sort of like there's these fears and we defer, and then when we shift it into different gifts depending from which angle we are coming, but through resolve, through leadership, through empathy, we just really start bringing up the frequency. It really starts to work for us. There's folks who have Gene Key 37 who tend to struggle with comparing themselves to others. There's like a hierarchy that is within them. It's always like I'm less than or more than, and there's this, and they come to a new circle. They're like, who am I too? And the fraud syndrome and this and that, right? And when that gets healed, they're actually the promoters of equality. They have tremendous amount of compassion and tenderness within them because they can see it for what it is, the bullshit for what it is, all this not good enoughness, unworthiness, right? People who have 44 is people who tend to be distrustful. They're in their shadow, they're okay misreading the bonds in the collective. When they flip it and when they work through these interferences in the field, they tend to be brilliant at teamwork, observing, reestablishing the bonds, to establishing new ways of running a team, new ways of relating to clients, new ways of being a sisterhood or brotherhood, right? When it's no longer transactional, it's an exchange, honoring of me, honoring of you. Not take advantage of others, but reciprocity that feels good to both. I honor my time. For example, when I'm guiding people, there's a lot of time that goes into it energetically because I'm not doing the work just with them in a one-on-one, but there's a lot of research when the spirit is taking me into their world in my dream time or in my day-to-day. So this is tremendous amount of work that we're doing together, right? When we work together. So how do I set the compensation in a way that's honoring of me and my family and my daughter? And who do I work with that it's affordable for them? That it doesn't feel like, oh my gosh, they're giving me an arm and a leg and the last money that they have, but at the same time are charged decent amount of money that makes it possible for me to do this work and continue evolving. At the same time, I must choose to work with people who are to a certain extent financially empowered, and it's a good exchange. Make sense? There's folks with a Gene Key 24. They tend to fall into the habits of addiction, addiction to people, codependent relationship habits, things like that. And once it gets integrated, they get comfortable with not knowing, because that's what drives them to addiction, is the uncertainty. I can't handle it. I don't know. I don't know what this means. I have an awareness gap. Boom, addiction. Once they get comfortable with the space, it activates a gift of innovation, excuse me. I have that one, right? So it often gets activated in my space. It's a lot of innovation. It's like ideas start popping. Maybe you're already experiencing it. There's people, if you have 20 or 29, people who tend to sort of fall into like a half-hearted life. Like, it's okay, it's good life, I have a good business, kind of working, right? No, not right. Totality, devotion, full commitment, being 100% present in life. That's what we're here for. All of us, not just the people who have 28 or 29. And yet, 90% of humanity, if not more, lives in some kind of shadow of mediocrity, purposelessness, and half-heartedness. Gene key 27, 28, 29. Okay? Then people who have 48, shadow of inadequacy. Not good enough. Not good enough. Self-attack, inner critic, all life long. When they actually heal that and see it for the bullshit that it is, they become masters in trust, self-trust, and resourcefulness. So they become incredible at putting pieces together in a business. That's my thing. Inadequacy and not being good enough is my lifelong. I got hooked there for 40 years of my life. So yeah, not fun. So these are some examples. Keep in mind, these are not yours. There's 64, right? You have your blend of 11 of them. And this is important because your soul chose this path, right? These are the gifts that are literally in your DNA, in your astrology. Your soul is here for this. Second, your business is going to pull those out no matter what. It's going to do that. It's literally the job of the world and the business is to pull out these shadows out of you and make you transcend into your gifts. The problem is our mind that fights us every step of the way. This is why we do the work not through the mind and not through explaining and reading about it, because the mind will find a way to bypass it. Literally, this is why we work with somebody else to guide us through that. Because if we don't, we're going to be getting the same lessons over and over and over and over, right? If there's no sales, if you're struggling with generating sales, it's probably pushing on shadow 48 inadequacy. If people are being mean to you and just sort of betraying you, abandoning you, all that stuff, it's probably pushing on integrating 43 rejection, right? If there's some weird dynamics, some weird patterns or templates that you have in your mind about how life should be, it's probably things just like kind of iffy, and you're kind of confused about how this should be and how the interaction should be, and just it's probably pushing on 44, right? If you're overwhelmed by emotions and energies, it's probably pushing on 13 and pulling you into discernment and empathy. So it's happening already. It's literally already happening. And your business can only grow as you grow. There's always going to be new lessons, but the more you grow, of course, there are going to be sometimes more difficult lessons, more challenging, deeper. There's not going to be surface. You're going to have to dig deeper to find what the crux of it is. But that's why we're here. And the more you lift your frequency, the more power you hold, and the easier it's going to be in your business. Well, on some level. To be completely transparent, the lessons never stop, right? But the purpose of the business is to mirror what's happening, It's how we transform. It's through action. It's not doing inner work in isolation. It's through action, through having the difficult conversations, the courageous conversations, and then we serve. We have the opportunity to put our gifts to service, right? Through offerings that are based on our purpose, on our life's work, on our vocation, on our heart. These are the spheres that you're going to find in your profile. And it's so incredibly important that we bring those into our business. So, we literally have no other choice than to do Inside Out Business Blueprint because it's based on you. But it's you who has to do the work, right? And it's literally not for everybody. And I have no proof of this, but I think that most people are not interested in that work. Their mind won't let them. The fact that you're here and that you're watching this, you're my person, and I'm looking forward to meeting you. So it's usually the people that get called into this are the creative rebels, they're the visionaries, they're the ones who are here to guide others through lots of transitions of consciousness. And transitioning to truly building based on yourself is the best thing you'll ever do in your business. Whew, this is longer than I thought. But I want to share all this with you. So if you want to take a pause, you can take a pause. I'm going to dive into the second pillar since I have you here, which is the outside building of your business. And this is very individual. I'm a master strategist. I've done this a million times. And in this part of the program, which will start after we go through the first 4 keys, we anchor into your core 4, your genius sequence, your purpose, your radiance, your evolution, and your life's work. When we anchor these 4, then we can start moving into business redesign from inside out. And this is so that you can put a stop to doing all the things, putting out all the fires. And you can start doing marketing and sales in a way that really speaks to your soul. And you get to go with the flow of who you are, not against the grain, not against in yourself. Because when you're going against your gifts and against who you are, the universe won't let you. It literally, the flow of clients will stop when you adopt some kind of belief system that separates you from yourself. Because literally, this is the training program, this is the training reality of self-realization, right? Realizing what we are. And this is the path for me. So, how it goes is that I take you through a few different modules and through a series of VIP sessions. We work through you and your what and your how at first, your vision and mission, which comes in as a result of healing your core wounds and get deeply into what you're here to pass to others. So that's going to be in your vocation sphere. And the how has to do with how you're going to bring into the world. Has to do with some of the lines that are in your profile and your genius sequence, as well as in later stages the pearl sequence. I'm not going to get into the minutia too much because it's all experiential. Then we get into the marketing and sales, which, by the way, should not feel like marketing and sales at all. If it feels like I'm doing marketing, then it's not right. The mistakes that people make is that they see it as an end, the means to an end, right? They don't see it as leadership. Like, I now have this opportunity to lead, to share something with you, to open something up for you, to open up some gifts for you so you can pass those to others. They use somebody else's voice, somebody else's energy field, or doing things the way doing the industry is doing them. The point is to find your unique style, Gene Key 8, and your own positioning way. There's a Gene Key 31 that talks about that quite a bit. It's like, yes, I'm being manipulative. Yes, I'm positioning. Yes, I'm selling. But it's the intention and the energy behind what I'm doing that determines the outcome. I'm literally, my job is to manipulate people into liberating themselves from the crux of the layers of their mind and their field. So what I'm doing here is to trying to position things. It's a manipulation, but there's manipulation doesn't have to be seen as for what it is, right? My job as a leader is position things and show them to you and present them to you in a way that makes sense to you, where you can say yes to yourself because, yeah, it makes sense. I want to do this for myself. I'm going to do it for God. I want to do it for my soul. I'm going to do this for my family, right? When you can actually say yes to yourself because it makes sense, right? So it's one of the gifts is being the spin doctor for liberation, basically, right? Giving from the heart. I used to teach a serve method, which you will have your own methodology if you don't yet, where you will be presenting things in a way that work for you, your own system, your own innovative, unique system that has worked for you. There's the word truth. that is the most important, right? Truth marketing is literally showing people things that they don't want to look at. They're true underneath the belief system that are there. And we're showing them. We're opening the lid and we're showing them, right? That's how we serve liberation. So we have an offer, lead nurture, and lead generation. Those always have to be in place. I've taught this for years, how to set this up, but we're going to design a system that works uniquely for you, right? For me right now, it's very simple. I'm launching my third business that is to be seven-figure business eventually. And it's just me and an agency. Agency is running my ads. My job is to record this and get on a call with you. But the marketing is very simple. It's me in front of an iPhone with a mic. Which brings me into operations. At the beginning, it's very simple. You don't need a website, you don't need anything. You literally need just this. You need some ads or some posts, effective, a great offer that you really love because it's coming from your gifts, bringing people in, introducing them into your stuff, being genuine, being in your naturalness, expressing who you are so they can feel, do I resonate with this person? Do I not? Right? Maybe I have some objections. Maybe this person triggers me a little bit. Can I work through this? Do I think that it would be a good idea? Do I think it would elevate me? Do you think it would break me free? Right? Then, as the business scales beyond 30, 50, 100K, We need solid operations. We need systems and we need a team. So, systems in my life comes first. I need flexibility. I like to travel. I've lived in 3 countries in the past 3 years. I need to be able to work online. I cannot do too many in person events. I'm a solo parent to a 4-year-old. I can only work 4 hours a day at the most. So I need to make sure that the systems that I design work for me, right? So it's very, very simple. Nothing can be overcomplicated. We have to keep it down to the basics. If I can't operate it, then it's not going to work, right? But then we need to design, as we bring in team members, we need to have correct processes for onboarding, training, accountability, elevation, their growth of boarding. For clients, same thing. Service delivery, customer journey. How do we make sure that we deliver results? We running a business. We're responsible to make sure that the client has an amazing experience. So we need to have an onboarding that is right on point, energetically correct, that we have the right system for them to come through their journey, to have their awakening, their transformation, their change, whatever you're doing with them, right? So there's a system for all this, and this is something that we're going to work with one-on-one because it's different for each individual. But you're going to have trainings for me, and then we're going to do one-on-one VIP intensives. We're going to bring this together and design a beautiful business that doesn't require you to be in it more than 4 hours a day. You can be in it if you want to, but the idea is maximum 4 hours a day. Okay. It's going to take a few weeks. We're going to work week by week, system by system, reorganize, rescript, rewrite. But at the end, that's what you're going to have. So, the last thing I want to share with you, I have created this incredible brand new program. It's called Inside Out IO. So it has the inside part and the outside part. The inside part is 11 VIP days in support for your 11 gifts. You will master by the end of it how to integrate shadow archetypes. You know how to let go. You know how to continue your inner work. And you'll step fully into your gifts. Out, you have 7 modules with instructions that are going to be tailor-made for you. Vision for your life, your voice and your expression, your offer, your funnel, your service delivery, your operations fulfillment, legal, finance. There are going to be different milestones and pricing. I'm going to give you the sheet. We're going to talk about the pricing for each section, or you can do the whole thing at once. You can choose how you want to do it, but we're going to talk about the details on the phone. So what I want you to do is right now make sure you check the time on the call. You can download your Gene Keys profile before if you'd like. I might check yours if I have a chance. And I'm really looking forward to chatting with you, answering your questions, getting to know each other, and I'm sure we're going to have an amazing time, mutually enriching. It's always like that. So I'm looking forward to chatting with you about the details, and I will see you there.